Hey everybody, this is Mark.
And I'm Laurie.
And we're Gables on the Go. Hey, we got something kind of cool for you tonight. Laurie and I just got back from a sail fishing seminar that good friends Robin and Chris that own the tackle box here in Marathon put on once a month, and tonight's topic was sailfish. So they had Captain Ariel Medero there presenting, doing a talk on how to catch sailfish, all the different tactics and things to use. So it's a little bit different for our channel, but I thought that we would share it with you. It's about an hour long, so go make you some popcorn, settle in, and learn everything you need to know about sail fishing here in the Florida Keys. Hey, another cool note of interest. For you guys that know us, we're from Hall County, Georgia, Gainesville, and Chris and Robin are also Hall County and White County. They worked for the Hall County Sheriff's Department for quite some time, and they live up in White County then with their family. They moved down here 4 years ago and took over the tackle box here in Marathon, and they're doing a fantastic job. So if you're here in Marathon and you need bait, tackle, shrimp, chum, whatever you need, they've got everything there for you, and they're great people, especially you folks from up in our area. You know, you want to deal with a hometown boy down here, Chris is the man to go see. They also run charters. He's got a 31 contender that he runs. So be sure and go by and see Chris and Robin at the tackle box if you're here in town.
A tip for you people who want to buy a gift for a fisher person in your life. They have great gift ideas. Just go down there and ask Chris or Robin, say, I want to buy a gift for my husband or my wife so that we can go fishing together or something along those lines. And they will point you in the right direction and find some pretty cool stuff down there.
Absolutely. We hope you enjoy the video. Hope you learn a little bit about sail fishing, and also make sure you give Captain Ariel a call when you're down here to go out on one of his trips.
Everybody this evening. Good. We are definitely glad to see all of y'all here this evening. I'm glad to know that apparently folks do pay attention to some of our things and let folks know what we're trying to do here in the community. Tonight we're doing sailfish, as all of you know, and Captain Ariel Medero is going to be the man with the plan for the evening. We've got some props. He's brought in some of his own tackle as well. Questions, don't hesitate, feel free to ask. We can spend as much time as we need to on the topic that we're here for tonight. Like it is, we're here for sailfish. El Capitan, it is your floor.
I'm Ariel. I'm a captain here in town. I've been fishing here for about 20 years or so. I do a little bit of sail fishing, maybe once or twice a year. So that was a joke. I do a little bit of sail fishing. So, I'll give you my point of view on, what to do and what, different types of fishing. We're going to talk a little bit about just straight out live baiting, which is the easiest way. Just put 4 lines out, drift around, and then talk a little bit about kite fishing, which is it's a little more complicated, but it's very effective. I'm going to start talking about bait. It's really hard to catch any sailfish here in the Keys without a live bait. You can troll out there, you'll catch them trolling here and there.
Good evening.
But if you want to put some numbers or be more productive, you need to have some live bait. The best live baits are going to be ballyhoo, live ballyhoo, pilchers. Those are the 2 main baits we find over here. You can catch goggle eyes at night or vine. They'll eat a finger mullet. And sardines, cigar minnows, small blue runners. But the main bait we use here in Middle Keys is pilchers and ballyhoo. Pilchers, we normally catch them inshore, along the flats. You need a boat that can get shallow normally to catch them. It's a couple areas where you can chum to the boat, catch them with cibikis. Ballyhoo, you can catch them in the reef. So if you don't have any bait, you can always anchor on the reef and try to get the ballyhoo. It's a few different ways to catch them. If you can throw a cast net, you chum them out where they're close enough, or you can throw the cast net. Or you can catch them with hook and line, which actually is better. If you catch one at a time, they live a lot better during the day, and they don't die as quickly. And it's a much better bait when you put them out there. So a lot of times it's better to have 50 good baits, spend an hour catching 50 good baits in your live well than having 100 baits that are going to be dying through the day, and then when you put them out, they don't last too long. There's a different, a few different hooks, you know, for different bait. You know, I mainly use circle hooks. That's a BNC 7/0 tournament hook, and the hook has to go with the bait. You know, you don't want a big giant hook with a little tiny pilcher. So the smaller the bait, smaller the hook. For the ballyhoo, I wish I had a ballyhoo, but I don't. What we do, we just put a little piece of copper wire. I know people in the back probably won't see it. Put a little piece of copper wire in the hook just like that, and we go through the bottom lip of the ballyhoo, so the beak is right here, and then we wrap it around the beak a few times, cut the whatever is left over, and that keeps the bait in place. I mean the hook in place, and keeps the bait alive. So you just go through the bottom lip, and it keeps it alive pretty good. Pilchers, we go through the nose normally. Some people hook them through the mouth, come up, you know, and they don't live as good. So you want the pilcher to be out there as long as you can and stay alive. So we hook them through the nose, sideways, and normally they stay alive for hours, you know, if you take care of them. What else? So once you got the bait, you need to figure out how to rig your tackle. We're going to talk about regular live baiting, which is like a slow troll. Everybody in the Keys use spinning tackle for that type of fishing. The reason for that, one of the reasons, is you're going to be casting. You know, a lot of times you have it spread out and you see a fish swimming on the side, and you're going to be casting to it, or a pack of dolphin will come out, mahi-mahi. So it's with a spinner, you know, it's just it's easy to handle. You can cast to the fish. We use mainly 20-pound mono. The reason we don't put any heavier monos is because you want to have, it's better to have a lot of line than to have a stronger line. What I mean is you hook a sailfish, you can have 40-50-pound test, but if that fish wants to run, you're not going to stop him, he's going to go. And it's better to have a couple 100 yards of line than just to have 100 yards of line. What happens here in the Keys a lot is that you hook multiples. You have 4 baits out, and you might hook a double or a triple, and they start running in different directions. So you want to have that line in the reel. It's very important. A lot of people made the mistake when the fish starts running, they try to stop them. You want to do the opposite. Oh, I lose the drag. After I hook the fish starts running, going crazy, lose the drag, let him take it. What happens when that fish is running away from you, that's when he's putting as much tension on the line. So you want to release some of the tension and just let it do his thing. When he stops, then you can tie the drag a little bit again and fight him. For the leader, it's very, normally all the charter boats use a 15-foot leader. The reason for that is that IGFA, on a tournament, if once you touch a 15-foot leader, it's called a catch. So you don't have to bring every fish to the boat. So everybody uses a 15-foot leader, fluorocarbon. I recommend use fluorocarbon. You know, a lot of people spend $500,000 in a boat and they don't want to spend $50, $60 in fluorocarbon. It makes a difference. You know, it makes a big difference. The water is clear here, the fish can see, and most of these fish seen a hook before, so you know they can be smart. We use 40 or 30-pound fluorocarbon mainly. I use 40, 99% of the time. If I get a couple of fish that come up to the spread and they don't eat, then I might switch it down to 30. And even use 20 sometimes during the tournaments. Excuse me. I use J hooks also sometimes. A lot of times it'll be other species when you're sailfishing, like tunas. And I do like to use the little J hooks like this. And that little hook right there will catch a sailfish, no problem. It'll catch a tuna. And a lot has to do with the size of the bait. If I got a lot of smaller baits, it doesn't mean the sailfish are not gonna eat it. But it'll look a lot better. The bait will look a lot more natural if you have a smaller hook on it than a bigger hook like that hanging out of the nose. Where the other one? All right, here. So if you got a big hook like that hanging out of a little pilcher like that, it looks kind of weird. But you got a little hook hiding in there, It looks a little more natural. The bait swims better. So match your hook to the size of the bait. Any questions?
How long is the leader you're using?
It's a 15-foot leader.
15?
So normally from the 20, 15, 1-5, yeah. From the line is 20-pound test or 15.
We got seats back here.
Then we tie a double line with a bimini twist. But you don't have to tie bimini, you can tie spider hitch. And from there we tie the leader, which is 15 feet long. All right, we're gonna talk a little bit about.
When you tie that leader on, are you using any kind of a swivel on that particular?
I don't because once you use a swivel, it catches. Every time you're gonna cast it, it catches on the guys. I use a knot called a Albright. I can show it to you later on. But it's a simple knot. Any kind of knot that's strong, it works. The reason for the swivel is just it catches. You know, you got a 15-foot leader. By the time you get the bait out, the swivel is going to be in here, so when you try to cast it out, it'll catch on the guys.
Is that a Saragossa?
Saragossa.
Yeah, I wonder where you got that.
That's true. Anyway, so you got the bait, you got your rod set up. Now you're going to go sailfish. What to look for? You're going to cross the reef, 20, 30, 40, 50 feet of water. You want to look for blue water. Blue water is always the best. Sometimes the blue water is all the way on the reef, so it's all blue all the way out. And when that happens, you gotta go, let's say we got a north wind that is pushing you offshore. What I normally do, I start shallow. I start right on top of the reef, maybe 60, 80 feet, and let that wind push me out. I put 2 lines on the outriggers. I got a center console, but I got outriggers. So I put 2 lines on the outriggers, let it go maybe 100, 150 feet back, and I put 2 on the flat lines, maybe 50 feet behind the boat. So I keep the boat in gear just to keep the lines lined up behind the boat. I try not to drag it too much if I don't have to, especially if the wind is pushing me out. And like that, I'm covering some ground. You know, I start at 80 feet, try to drift all the way to 180. 200 feet, and then if I get a bite, let's say I get a bite in 140, I keep that in the back of my head. Okay, we got a sailfish in 140. Keep drifting, nothing. Okay, I'll go back to 120 next time. Boom, we hook another 140. All right, well, then you stick on that area. Or you get some life, you know, it don't have to be a sailfish. You start getting some bites, you know, maybe a tuna or a mahi on an area, and then you know that's where the fish might be coming through, so kind of stick on that area. What else? It's very important on the spinning rods. You put your bait out there, outrigger on the flat. Once you get the bait where you want it, it's very important to leave the bail open. You know, that sailfish is going to come up, it's going to grab that bait, it's going to try to swim away and eat it. If the bail is closed, it's going to come tight right away. The fish feels that most of the time, he's going to spit it out. So by having the bail open, and what we do, we put this little piece of copper wire right here. Just put a copper wire around and twist it. And we leave the bail open. Hold that right there, Tom. And you get the bait where you want it, and you just twist that, and it's like having your finger there. So you put it in the rod holder, the line is out there, a sailfish hits it, it's gonna release. Release, you let it run for a few seconds. Okay, I think you got it. Then you flip the bail, reel up, you know, all the slack. When the rod bends, you hook them. It's very important, especially bigger the bait. Let's say you're using a ballyhoo. Definitely, that sailfish is gonna come up. They got the ballyhoo in their mouth, they're swimming away. You wanna let them eat it for a few seconds if you can. If you're using a J hook, you reel all the slack. When the line comes tight, you always wanna hook them a little bit. Circle hooks, you don't wanna hook them. You just reel until you hear that drag going out, and then you keep reeling, raise the rod up slow, and they normally hook themselves pretty much. I think I'm talking too fast. Have a sip, right? Any question? Everybody understand the bail open technique? Yeah.
What's the piece of wire? What level?
It's a copper wire. A little copper wire like this. So what I just do, I just grab a little piece. And you grab your rod. This one already has one. But You just go around it. Hold it right there. Go around it and just twist it. Nothing fancy. Just twist it like that a few times. If it's too long, you can cut it a little bit. And then it's right there. It acts like your finger. Whenever you put the line out, flip the bail open, put it underneath and just bend it a little bit. Don't bend it too much where it's a lot of tension. Some people make the mistake of put it tight like that. Then when the fish eats the bait and pulls, he'll feel a little bit of tension, and that might spook him. So you want it barely. When the fish eats it, he throws away, opens right up. Little details like that sometimes makes a difference.
And watch your reel at all times.
Yes.
Someone watches the reel, because sometimes the fish will hit, you don't know it. All of a
Yes.
sudden you look, your
Yeah, you got
spool's
4
on
lines
something.
out there. Yep.
You're
Yeah, you don't
talking,
hear the
you're
drag
drinking
go
a
out.
beer and all of a sudden,
Yeah.
because those things don't have a clicker on it.
They don't. They don't have a clicker. So anyways, you're out there. If that, you're drifting, that's one way to find the fish. Another way is color change. If you can find a color change out there, sometimes it'll go from green to blue. You get like a nice color change where you can see the water changing colors. Those fish like to travel on that color change. I would try to stick anywhere between 80, 100 feet to like 200 feet. That's where we catch 99% of our sailfish. We catch them deeper sometimes, 250, 300, but that area right there is where we catch most of them. A structure, fishing around structure. The reef is structure, holds a lot of bait. The fish do travel through there. By any kind of wreck, the thunderbolt, everybody has the thunderbolt, the rubble. Those wrecks hold a lot of fish, hold a lot of bait, which, the sailfish don't necessarily stay there, but they come through and, when it's bait around, they stick around. Any weed line, little weed line out there, 150 feet, doesn't look like much. It works, especially if you look at the weed and it has little baits underneath. If it's bait underneath, it's going to be fish coming through and feeding on. Not just sailfish, tuna, mahis, so that's a good area. And what happens sometimes, I make a drift. I start off sombrero. Make a drift, nothing happens. It's always good to listen to the radio. The local captains in Channel 74 and the BHF. And, sometimes it's useful information there, You can say, hey, I'm catching, I just got a double header over here, yada, yada. And, it gives you an idea which way to go next. Also, you don't catch nothing in that area. It's always good. Move a mile or two down the road. You can go east or west, and sometimes you just move a little bit, and boom, there they are. You don't have to stick on the same area all day. Any questions? Anyone? Yeah.
Time of the day, any?
It seems to work better when they're hungry. Not necessarily a time of the day, but I used to fish a lot of tournaments, and it'll be boats spread out in 20 miles. And it seems like when they're biting everywhere. Like it'll be about 50 miles away, oh, I'm hooked up. And then about 10 miles that way, I'm hooked up, and everybody's hooking up seems like at the same time. But no, it doesn't matter. It can be in the morning, midday, afternoon. I don't think it makes a big difference.
How about moon?
The moon, I haven't seen a big difference between the moon. March, April, when the fish are migrating through here, pretty good. What the moon does, it brings the Gulf Stream in close. And yes, it gets better around the full moon. The rest of the time, I haven't seen a big difference. Between a full moon, new moon, it's all about the same.
So then you said March, April. Is that the peak?
We start catching sailfish on the fall, early winter, and it kind of goes up and down. You get pushes of fish. Like normally the beginning of the season is really good. This time of the year is steady, and then March, April, beginning of May, we get a big push of fish. All these fish are trying to make it to Mexico, wherever they're going. So a lot of the fish are coming through the Keys to go spawn wherever they're going to go. So if you get the right conditions, which a Gulf Stream comes in, you get big numbers of fish coming through. And that's when everybody, the local boats broke the records, got 65. That was 3 years ago. They got 65 one day. So that always happens that time of year, March, April, beginning of May. And yeah, if you get out there in the right conditions, it can be big numbers, and it's a lot of fun. Yeah. And what they do that time of year, the Gulf Stream comes in, and it's like a highway. The current is going against the fish, but if you get the wind going against the current, what the fish do, they start surfing the waves. So instead of swimming against the current, they just surf the waves. They get up on top of the waves and kind of ride the waves, so they don't waste any energy. So all you do, we go out there and just look for them. And yeah, you just drive around, you see them coming down the waves, throw a pilcher in front of them, and it's a lot of fun. We got a few out there, right?
We got 15 at one.
Yeah. All right, let me check my notes. Any more questions, feel free.
He's got one right here. His arm's getting sore.
I have a quick question. Do you guys deploy a sea anchor to slow you drift sometimes or no?
Sea anchor?
Yeah.
Not for straight out live baiting. Like I'm just live baiting out there. I don't use a sea anchor. You can, if you're drifting sideways, you can, but that type of fishing, you kind of want to cover some ground.
Yeah.
So if you're moving, covering some ground, I think it's better than just sitting on the same spot, which is different than kite fishing. Kite fishing, you do want to slow the drift down, the baits look better, than dragging it too much around. So I wouldn't use it for drifting, like slow trolling, but I will use it definitely for kite fishing. You can always put a bait down too, like mid-water. Let's say you got 4 baits out there, it's kind of slow, nothing is happening. You can just pitch another bait out there, put 4 or 5 split shots on it, and send it down maybe 50 feet. Sometimes those fish are coming down deep. Another thing that helps a lot is having the teaser out. You can either use plastic teaser like this one, which works really well. I have one in my boat. Let me open it here. All right, these little strips, and you put it together, it'll be like 10 of these little strips. They don't look like much, but once you throw them in the water, it flashes, and fish is swimming down there 100 feet down. It'll catch his eye, it'll come up to the boat, and once they come up to the boat, they see the baits, normally need them. So this works really well. Another thing that we use is a live bait teaser. It's called a daisy chain. Very easy to make. You can make it in 5 minutes. So what you do, just get a piece of mono. I put a swivel on the end, piece of copper wire. And on the end I put a little sinker. Then you put a couple feet, a little loop or any kind of loop, piece of copper wire. So you do that about 5, 6 times, and what you do, let's say you got ballyhoo or pilcher or any kind of bait, you just go with this thing through the nose. Through the nose of the bait, go around, twist it a couple of times, let it go in the water. And then you do the next one. Through the nose, twist it a couple of times, go in the water. And then you keep the boat in gear. So you got this behind the boat with 5 or 6 live baits swimming. And sometimes you can throw a couple of freebies, a couple of chummers around it, and they'll stick with that. So you got a little school of bait behind the boat, which is really attracts the fish too. Just make sure if a sailfish comes up on it, move it out of the way, because sometimes they try to eat it, they get all tangled, and doesn't work out too good. If you have a lot of bait, that's great. You can chum. Chumming always helps, especially the little ones. Start chumming every 5, 10, 15 minutes. Throw 10, 15 out there. Well, those little guys, they'll stick around the boat for a little, but then they go in different directions. And something's gonna eat them. A mackerel's gonna come up, or a tuna, or a sailfish, and that'll bring the fish. And bites make bites. So even if you're catching bonitas and mackerel, you're like, oh man, these mackerels are killing me, bonitas. But you're on the right track. More bites you have in that creates activity in the water, and that attracts the bigger predators too, like sailfish and other fish like that.
Way to go, Brett.
How did that? Everybody here have center consoles or center console boats?
Yes.
Yeah, every boat, a fish is a little different. Different baits you can drag a little bit faster. Like a ballyhoo, you can drag it a little faster than a pilcher. It'll stay alive pretty good. Meaning you can sometimes in your boat, you kind of figure out that you can leave one engine in gear, and you can drag them. You see the base look good back there, the swimming good, and like that you're covering a lot of ground. Pilchers are a little more sensitive. I normally put the boat in and out of gear. You know, put it in gear, drag them a little bit, stop, sit there for a minute, you know, put the oil in gear and kind of cover some water, but you want to keep the bay alive and looking natural. Oh, okay, let me go through my notes here. Live bait jamming. Releasing a fish. When you catch a fish, you know, everybody's excited. Ah, I got the fish. A lot of people bring it to the boat and take 5 minutes to take a picture. That fish is dead. You know, I don't care. That fish just, you know, 5 for 30 minutes. He's tired. You bring him out of the water. It's like you running for 5 miles, putting your head underwater for 5 minutes. It's not going to work out. So try to take care of him if you can. You know, you get a picture. I have the camera ready. It's illegal to bring him in the boat, anyways. Most people do it. You know, we got people that pay a lot of money to go catch a sailfish, so we sometimes bring him in the boat. Or you can take a picture on the side. But if you're going to take a picture, bring him in. Just do it quick, you know. Someone grab him by the bail, bring him in, quick picture, back in the water. Always try to revive him, you know. Put the boat in gear. You know, let it get some air. Let it get some water through the gills. When he feels like he's ready to go, let him go. You just throw him in the water. A lot of times they're just tired. They muerto, dead, shark food. Right. We went through the pound line, pound leader, hooks, release wire. Alright, we're moving too fast, I think. Alright, kite fishing. This is where it gets a little more complicated. It's a lot more tackle, a lot more to keep in mind, but it works really well. The difference between kite fishing and regular slow trolling, I think one of the main reasons of advantages is slow trolling. You know, you got your outriggers out, and you might be covering this much water right here. You know, maybe 150 feet back, but this is the area that you're covering. So the fish swimming through that area, you know, you're gonna race, and he's gonna come up right to your bait. With the kites, you cover a much bigger area. So, for example, what we do. So you see how we got little split shots in the corner over here. So this will make this kite fly to the right. Now, you can put split shots on the left, it'll make this kite fly to the left. So what we do, we let one go to the right, we let one go to the left, and it's like having giant outriggers pretty much. This kite's gonna go out 200-300 feet up in the air, and you're gonna have 2 or 3 lines on it, so it's gonna be, you're covering a lot. You're covering 100 yards that way almost, and 100 yards the other way. So the area that you're covering is much bigger, which is going to make you race, you know, bring a lot more fish to your spread. Different kites are for different winds. The white one is a light wind kite. So you got 5 to 10 miles per hour wind. You want to use the right kite, lighter kite, just weight less. All the materials are lighter. So it'll stay up in the wind a lot better. The green and the red, they're the ones that we use most of the time, which are 10 to 15 miles per hour, somewhere in there. So they stay up most of the time. If it gets over like 20 miles per hour, then they start shaking a little bit. That's when this guy comes handy. Yeah. When it's blowing 20 or more, I know you don't want to be out there if it's blowing 20 or more. Me neither, but sometimes we gotta go.
Lisa.
Yeah. What's nice about this guy that lets a lot of wind go through and releases a lot of tension from the line, from your kite line, and it stays up in the high winds. For the kite reel, I personally use a kite electric reel, and these reels are not that expensive. They're maybe $400 or $500, right?
They're $649 now for the tanning company.
$649, but it's worth every penny if you're gonna do it. What happens? You let all your lines out, everything looks beautiful. you turn around and a paca bonita comes through and ate all your baits and your kites, then you gotta bring it in. If you got a 15, 20 mile wind, bringing it by hand is brutal. You'll do it once or twice, but you gotta do it 10, 20 times a day. So the kite reel, the electrics are great. And during the summer times, I just take it out of this rod, put it on a bigger rod, and I use it for dip dropping. You know, catch tilefish, snowy grouper, all that stuff. So I got multi-purpose. Every boat, you can fish the kites a little bit different. I fish in a couple different ways on my boat. My favorite way is to put one kite on the bow and another one off the transom. So let's say I take this right to the bow and let that kite go out, the one that flies to the left, and then I put all my 3 lines. I fish 3 lines on the kite, so you don't have to. You can fish 1 or 2. You know, this one got 3 clips, but you don't need 3 clips. You know, especially if you're a beginner, you can just put 1 bait out there or 2. And the way this works, it has different size swivels, and the holes are different size. So when the smaller swivel comes out, it goes through the first 2, but when it gets to this one, it'll drag it out. Now I got maybe 70 feet, then another swivel. It'll go through this one, but when it comes to this one, it'll drag it out. So they're apart like 70 feet from each other. So I let that one go out, put the baits on it. I like hooking the baits through the nose, just because I can drag them around a little bit if I have to. But you can hook them through the back too. The same with kite fishing. You want bigger baits. You know, a little pilcher like that is not going to work because you have so much line out. You need a bigger bait that's going to stay alive. Goggle eye, blue runner, and a big pilcher are probably the best 3 baits. And the other kite, I let it go off the back. So when I got 2 kites going out on this side, on the other side of the boat, I can put a couple flat lines out. You know, with the spinners, copper wire. So in other words, you're covering some water back here, the boat's drifting with the wind, and then you got 2 kites on this side. So you're really covering a lot of water. Then if you want, you can put a bottom rod down as you're doing that. Maybe catch a mutton snapper, a kingfish on there. So it's a lot you can do with kite fishing. The kite rig, it's a little more complicated, but once you have a rig, it's really nothing to it. On the bobber dust, it's just so you can see where the line is, your line. So you put it, 200-300 feet away, you can keep an eye where your line is. It has a little ring. The ring is for the clip. You put it right on the release clip so the line is not rubbing against it. The sinker, it changes, more wind, smaller bait. You put a little bigger sinker, that's 1.5 ounces, I think. But you can go down or up, and it got a little bead there so it's not banging against the nut. And that's it. Then I got a leader and a hook on the end. And the way it works, Tommy, you give me a hand? So let's say the kite's going out. Tommy got the swivel there. Kite's going out. And I just put my line. Put my line on the clip. Just like that. And let it go out. So let it go out as far as you want to let it go out. Now when the fish eats it, the fish eat it, it's going to pull until it releases from that clip. It releases from the clip, you got it in your rod, just like an outrigger. And same with the other 2. You can put the 1 or 2 or 3 lines out. Another good thing about kite fishing is that you can keep fishing. You don't have to bring everything in. Let's say you hook a fish on your metal bait. Boom, you hook a sailfish, great. You still have 3 baits on this one, you have 2 baits left on that one, so you're fishing all the time. The reason why we use conventional reels instead of spinners on the kite is because they hold a lot more line. Conventional reels, well, one of the reasons. This reel probably holds 400 yards of 15, right, more than that, 15-pound test I got on this one. So whenever you hook a fish, you're not in a hurry to go chase him down because you got plenty of line on the reel, so you keep fishing. And a lot of these fish, sailfish, 9 out of 10 times, they're gonna be in a pack. Doesn't mean they're in a pack at the size of this room. These fish might be spread out hundreds of feet apart, but they're coming through together. So you hook one, you keep fishing, I'll give it 5-10 minutes, all right, let's go start chasing that fish, and boom, next thing you know, you got another one on. And that's how those guys, they do a lot of kite fishing, they always hook in multiples, just because they always keep fishing. The lines are always out. If the sailfish is coming to one of the lines, you just raise it out of the water really quick, with the bobber, the bait comes out of the water, let it go through, dump it back in the water. So that's a big advantage about kite fishing. You always got lines in the water. And what was it? A month and a half ago, we were out there, we had 2 clients, and we had the 2 kites up, so 6 baits on the kites, and we had 3 flat lines on the other side. So we hook at mahi-mahi first. Mahi-mahi's jumping, yada yada. Then we see a sailfish right there eating some of the freebies we threw out, some of the free baits. Boom, throw a bait on the spinner, hook the sailfish. So now we got a dolphin and a sailfish, then a tuna eats one of the kite baits. Remember, we only got 2 anglers. And then we got another 2 sailfish and the other kites, so we hooked 3 sails, we ended up hooking 2 tunas and 2 mahis, but it was a mess. I think we only got one of the sailfish and cut the tunas and the mahi, but it's exciting, you see it all happening, and you get multiple fish very consistent. Any questions about kite fishing? I'm sure you got a lot. Questions? Yeah.
What test do you use on your electric reel for your kite?
On this one I got 65. You can go lighter or heavier. I got 65 because I do use it for deep dropping during the summer. You can go heavier. Actually, I got 65 on the reel, and this is about 100, which is just on the end. The last 300 yards, maybe. Yeah.
And I have another question. Should you do, if you're using braid, should you do like 100 feet of mono or something for the kite for a little bit of stretch?
That's a good question. People that kite fish a lot, they have a different spool. When the kite rig's ready to go, so it's really windy, they switch it over to mono because it gives a little bit. Like you say, it's really windy, it's a lot of tension on everything. They put mono on the kite reels. I don't do that, but people that do it a lot, they always switch it over. All right. What else? Sea anchor. Sea anchor. Everybody familiar with a sea anchor? It's like a big parachute that you throw in the water. That's great. If you're just you and your wife, you're just out there kite fishing, can get complicated if you got to drive the boat and go back to the rods, because once you put the spread out, you got to stay on it, because you get a little more wind, the baits come out of the water. The wind drops, the kite goes up and down a little, so you got to play with them. So it's hard to be on the wheel and deal with the kites at the same time. So the sea anchor comes very handy. You just put it off your bow or put it on the side of the boat, throw it out there, and just lose your drift. You don't have to worry about driving the boat, and it's really nice to have. I don't have one yet, but it's coming. All right, what else? Questions? Need questions? Kite reels, electric reels. Yeah, you can use a hand crank, like any kind of international reel for the kites, for the kite reel instead of the electric. It's just a lot of work, but it's doable. It's cheap. If you have a reel, just put a couple clips on it and put it out there. You don't have to, spend all the money on these reels. On the kites, I like to use lighter line on my long kite baits. So the green one is 15-pound test. The red one on this other rod is 20. The reason for that is that the longer bait, you got so much line out that all the line that you have in the air creates tension. The more tension you got on the line, it's going to pick out that bait out of the water. So by having thinner line and a little heavier weight, it keeps your bait in the water. You notice it, you know, when you're kite fishing quite a bit, it's nice to not have to worry about every 2 seconds about the bait coming out of the water. You got to drop it back down. So on my longer ones, I always keep 15. Shorter lines, I keep 20. And that seems to work out pretty good.
How far down you want the baits in the water?
You want the bobber, you got a 15-foot leader, you want the bobber maybe like 5-6 feet above the water. So the bait is comfortable swimming around there. Yeah, go ahead.
I have a question. Do you want to pay for a high-vis line, or do you want?
Yeah, high-vis for sure. Just because you can keep track of where your lines is. Especially when you hook 2 or 3 fish, you know, they start crossing each other. The high-vis, you can see it. You can see it really well, and you know, keep track of it. Because you're hooking multiple fish, they are gonna get crossed, and you can see it a lot better.
I notice you have a short rod for your kite rod. Does that matter?
Yes. You know, the rod is just, it helps put the kite out. That's the only advantage of having a rod. You're not gonna be fighting a fish or anything on it. So you don't want it too tall when it's hard to get to the kite, you know, whenever you're dealing with a kite. So I wouldn't have one any bigger than that. So even shorter would be better.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And the kite rods are cheap, you know, anything from 30 to 60, 80 bucks for a kite rod. No more questions?
I got a question.
Yeah.
We have a lot of struggles getting our kite up. Can you explain the adjustment on the kite?
Yes. I have that in the notes somewhere. Yeah, that's very, very important. Main thing I do whenever I'm going to put a kite out is make sure nothing is twisted. Make sure sometimes it'll go around like that. Even the swivel, sometimes just any kind of little twist, it won't fly right. You know, it's twisted just like that. Make sure everything is perfect. So you don't want anything to be tangled. Now the bridle normally comes with a little black line. That's what you want it most of the time, but it changes, you know. I normally let the kite go out. Make sure you get on the wind side of the boat. Don't let people hiding behind the console try to get it out. So try to get on the wind, you know, get it out. And once it starts going, let it go, 30 feet or so, and then hold it there. It's very important. Take your time and get it right. That's something I learned this year. I was always in a hurry to get my kites up. It's like, man, if I don't have baits in the water, I'm not fishing. And this past year, I fished a tournament with some guys. They do it a lot, and I learned it's like, take your time, get it right, even if it takes 15, 20 minutes, whatever. Get it right the way you want it. Sometimes I get the kite all the way out, and it's too low. You know, it's flying too low. It's like it's gonna, you know, it's gonna be trouble. You know, I'm gonna have to mess with it later on. So I just bring everything in, adjust the bridle. Closer you get it to the kite, you know, the bridle right here. Closer you get it to the kite, I think it flies the highest. Yeah, closer to the kite, it flies the highest. Farther away, it goes lower. So if you want it to go a little higher, you know, you just mess with it a little bit and make it fly a little bit higher. If you got a lot of wind, you don't want it too high, because then it's too high. You got so much line out from the clip to the bait, and then you reel, you know, it releases from the clip, and then you got 100 feet to reel to come tight with the fish, and you know, sometimes you end up losing the fish for that reason. But yeah, get it right, take your time until you get that kite the way you want it, nice up there, flying good. If you put it out and starts going like that, bring it back in, make sure nothing is tangled again, put it back out. And sometimes I got kites that don't fly right, you know, it's like, you put it out, it goes all over the place, and grab another one. I keep a few in the boat just for that reason. And they do go in the water.
Yeah.
I have it go in the water a lot. It happens, you know? You fly, it's perfect, turn around for a second, boom, goes in the water. And just bring it in, let it dry, put another one if you have another one. And I had him break the line before, you know, the wind picks up, and it's a little kink on that braided, boom, there goes the kite. And some people put a little balloon, so like a little balloon, and just in case it falls in the water, it'll float. That works good. I haven't got that smart yet.
They
Haven't
will
got to
see.
that point.
Is there a beer break?
It is for me. All right, let me see where I'm at. I think I'm running out of subjects here. Electrical handcraft, real catfish.
Good question.
Yeah.
Do you use snare hooks with your bait or no?
You talking about the way of hooking?
Yeah.
Yeah, I use a rubber band, so that's something to talk about. You don't have to, but I do. Most people do. The reason you use a rubber band because we're using circle hooks. Circle hooks, the way it works is that the fish grabs the bait, turns away, and gets hooked. So you want that hook to be exposed as much as you can. If it's inside of the bait, you know, sometimes that's all is exposed. It doesn't mean you're not gonna hook the fish, but you're gonna get a much better hookup if the hook is just outside. So what we do, you buy these little rubber bands at the store and a needle. You put it like that, and you go through, let's say you have a pilcher. You go through the nose of the pilcher, you know, go around, and then you grab it on the other side. So your hook is supposed to be right there. Sometimes we twist it a couple times and go back to it. So the hook is on the outside of the bait. And the hookup radio increases big time by doing that. It takes an extra second or two when you're doing it. You get fast with time, but it's I recommend it to bridle the baits. If I had some baits, I will show you how to do it better. Another little trick is to use this little rubber band. These little rubber bands, you can buy them on the store also. And whenever you're using circle hooks, what happens a lot of the time, sometimes, you hook that bait through the nose, a pilcher. The hook will turn back into the bait. And once that happens, the bait starts spinning and the bait's shaking out there, so it happens. But this little rubber is a little tiny rubber band, you can barely see it. You put it on the hook, like that, and once you go through the nose of the pilcher, it'll keep it in place. It won't let that hook turn around. It'll keep it right in place, and it's a little trick that helps.
Another quick question: do you use a stingle rig on the back of the bait as well, or no?
Like second hook?
Yeah.
No, not for sailfish. But let's say you're out there fishing and the kingfish are really bad. The kingfish cutting you off. Then I'll switch over to wire. Put a little trace of wire on the end. Not necessarily a stinger hook, but I do put some wire out there. And sailfish will eat a piece of wire. If I was just strictly sailfishing, I won't do it. But if you got a lot of mackerel cutting you off, a lot of wahoo maybe, then put a little piece of wire, and the sailfish will eat them most, half of the time. If that's the case, if I got wire out, I always have a pitching bait ready. So let's say a sailfish comes up on the wire line, he won't eat it, then I can reel that bait out of the way and just pitch him on over with mono and see if that makes a difference. Just get the wire out of the way, throw it with mono, and sometimes they'll eat it. Another type of catching sailfish, a couple of different kinds, is finding and swimming. If you have a tower in your boat, you can find it swimming on the sand. Anywhere from 20 to 40, 50 feet of water. When the ballyhoo are there in big numbers and the water is clear, those sailfish will go in there and chase those ballyhoo around. They're there. They're not always chasing ballyhoo around, but sometimes they're there swimming. And if you got a tower, you can drive back and forth on those areas, and you'll find some sailfish swimming. And the other ways, like I was saying, in March and April, when the fish start tailing, when the Gulf Stream comes in, the conditions get right, you get a beautiful color change. Those fish will get up and start surfing the waves, And that's a good way to catch them. That's where you catch big numbers. And you also see tunas and cobias and a lot of cool stuff. Everybody caught sailfish here before? No? Been trying? You got one?
There's not many in Montana.
Not many in Montana, no. Really hard to catch there.
He's working on it.
You just, you're here every year, first year?
This is our second year. We're coming back every winter.
You have about?
No.
No, not yet.
I guess we'll be talking.
I'm good, man. I still got half of it. I think the water.
You don't want one beer? I'm not.
Well, light, man.
That's sir. Oh, I don't have my dog. If I had my dog, you'd be drinking my dog.
Water is a thank you anyway.
Takes white claws now.
It's white claw.
Tommy, that's Crazy Lisa's father.
I figured that out, yeah.
I should have brought the picture Annie blew up, the one with the swordfish.
Yeah, okay, next
frame. It's really nice.
Okay, I need questions. I'm running out of subjects here.
Here, I throw you one. Do you ever use like plugs or anything like that for trolling?
Not for sailfish.
Not for sailfish?
Not for sailfish. I use diving plugs for wahoo and kingfish and groupers, but no, not for sailfish. If you are gonna troll, the best trolling bait I would say for sailfish is a ballyhoo. You know, a ring ballyhoo, light line. I wouldn't go over 50-pound fluorocarbon. And if you rig those ballyhoo who are swimming really nice, they'll eat them. They won't eat it as good as a live bait, but they'll eat them. It's crazy. Like you go to West Palm Beach and that's all they do. They troll. But those guys pull these teasers with like 100 baits on either side of the boat, and they're down like 4 or 5 feet underwater. So it's like a school of bait right behind the boat. So the fish get attracted to them, and it's a lot to it. But you know, you can catch and troll it, but it's not as effective.
Gotcha. Do you put an island door on that wall, on that ballyhoo or no?
Put what on it?
An island door?
You can put a little chugger in front of it. Yeah, a little chugger so it makes bubbles. You know, like when it's cut into the water, it makes a little bit of bubbles. That gets the fish fired up. We did a tournament in Cuba 2-3 years ago. It was a marlin tournament where there's a lot of sailfish around, and that's how we were catching them. Ballyhoo. And Cuba's right there, 100 and some miles away, so it's like it's the same fish we're catching. And yeah, pretty much. And we were using ballyhoo with chuggers in front of them, and we got a few like that. Well, you're out there sailfishing. The sailfish are not biting. You can always do something else. That's the way I see it. You know, if I get people that really want to go sailfishing, and that's all they want to do, all right, we'll go, we'll spend all day doing it, that's fine. But if we go out there for 2-3 hours, nothing happening, I like to catch fish. So, you know, sometimes you just got to change gears and go do something else. You know, sometimes the fish are not biting. They just had a tournament in Isla Morada, what was yesterday? Saturday and Sunday. And the best of the best boats coming from Miami, the best Isla Morada boats were there fishing, you know, double kites for 8 hours a day. And, you know, most of the fish got 2, 3, 1, you know, it was, sometimes the fish are just not there, you know, so don't feel bad if you go out there, you'll catch one for a couple of days.
Another question?
Yes.
Could you elaborate a little bit about, you get that fish on and you go in after it?
Yes.
You know, what are your techniques for doing that?
Yeah, you know, the fish comes up, let's say we're just live baiting, we got the spread out. I'm up in the tower most of the time, so 80% of the time I can see him before he eats the bait. But anyway, it doesn't matter. The fish eats the bait, bail's open, so you see it come out of the water, line's running out. I normally give it like 3-4 seconds. All right, 1, 2, 3, 4, close the bail, start reeling, you come tight. Got him on, he's jumping everywhere. When he's jumping, like I said, don't try to force him in. Let him Less tension you put on it, the better. Because that fish is jumping, shaking the head, going back and forth. That bill is like sandpaper, like 80 grit sandpaper. So it can, if you put a lot of tension, it'll break that line. So less tension, the better. And he's gonna run, go crazy. And normally let him do that for a little bit. And as long as you got plenty of line on the reel, let him run, let him run, let him run, let him run, and he'll slow down eventually. And then, okay, you can clear everything out if you want, bring the other lines in, and start chasing them. I normally, in my boat, center console, whoever's fighting the fish, I send them to the bow, to the front of the boat. And they're on the front, but it's easier to maneuver like that instead of backing up on it. Send it to the front, and I just put the boat in out of gear. Yeah, hold it right up high, let it gain some line. And whenever it gets close to the boat, try to grab the leader. If you want a picture, you always grab the bill. Don't try to grab the tail. The only part that's gonna hurt you is the bill. So make sure you got a glove, grab the bill. Once you get the bill under control, a lot of times you grab it, they start freaking out. Best thing you can do is put the head underwater. Let him take a couple breaths, and eventually they'll come down where you can bring them in really quick for a picture. Yeah. I don't know. I think I might have.
What about leader and technique?
Leader and technique. Tell me, what's a leader and technique? Not getting wrapped up is important. Like normally, whoever's fighting the fish, I tell him to stay right behind me. I grab the leader, and I tell him just keep out on the tip, because I'm gonna bring it in slack. If I'm bringing in slack, he needs to be reeling, getting all the slack. Otherwise, it'll get wrapped on the rod. And that fish takes off again, I let it go, it's wrapped around the rod, it's gonna break off. So as I'm bringing the line in, when I'm bringing the line in, you're using light leader, 30, 40 pound fluorocarbon soap. I'm being as gentle as I can. The fish wants to go, I let it go. So a little bit at a time. It helps if someone's driving the boat, because the fish is still kicking. If you try to stop them, it'll be tough. So if someone's driving the boat, staying with the fish, that helps a lot. Little bit at a time, the fish wants to go, you let it go. And just try not to get wrapped up on the line. And whoever has a fish on, pick up the slack. And just be ready, because that fish might run out again. And little bit at a time, you can grab the bill and get them under control. A lot of times, if you don't care about the picture, well, I know most people want a picture, but it's better just to, get as close as you can and cut them off. Because sometimes you try to get the hook out, and you do more damage trying to get the hook out than just, cutting it off. The hook either will fall off or it'll rust away, in a few days. It's very, we catch, through the years, got hundreds of thousands of sailfish. It's very rare that you find another one that has a hook on them. They either fall off or rust off, or,
That was my question. Just cut them off, or really work to get the hook out?
Yeah, definitely try to. If you don't need a picture, like I say, you got a fish in the boat. Everybody got a picture. Yeah. You catch another one or two other ones. You don't have to bring every fish in. That's the way it happens with us. A lot of times we catch one. It's just a couple in the boat. Say, all right, let's get a picture. Yeah, and then like that we don't have to get every fish in the boat. And the chances of survival they're a lot better if you don't bring them in. Yeah. They sell a little tool that's they cast the line. They get as close as you can down there, and cut them off. Yeah.
So on the flat line, you said basically give them 4 seconds or so.
Yeah, if you can see the fish, a lot of times, the bait will be from me to you a little farther. If you can see them, see what the fish is doing. What happens a lot with ballyhoo, that fish will come out, the ballyhoo start jumping, and they grab the line. A lot of times the sailfish goes like that and grabs the line instead of the ballyhoo. So if you see the fish back there starting to go like that, go crazy, he means he's staying along the line. So a lot of times what I tell the mate, I say, just go on and see if we can hook him anyways. Just go on as fast as you can. If you see him grab the bait, swim away with it, a lot of times you see him hanging out like a dog with a bone. Once you see it disappear, he got it, and just go on it. If you're using circle hooks, you always want to reel against the fish to get the hook, a better hookup. So if you see that fish swimming to the left, when you go on it, try to bring your rod to the right, so that the hook gets on the corner. With the J hook, it's always good to do it too, but you know, you gotta be setting the hook, so it's not as important.
And then on a kite where you have all that slack, you start winding immediately?
The best bite of the kite is when you see your float start moving slowly to the opposite way than the other ones. It's something ate it. So the best bite is when you don't see it. When you don't see the fish eat it. That's normally you got it hooked. If you can, I let him eat it. You know, bigger the bait, same thing. You got a goggle eyes, blue runner, I let him eat it for a little bit. You know, and then go on it. You're gonna have a lot of tension, you know, a lot of slack after it pops out of the kite. So what I do sometimes, I keep the clip a little tighter than normal. So what that'll do, when you start reeling, the line will tie tight and hook the fish before it pops out of the clip. Instead of having it really loose and it pops and then you got all this slack that you gotta keep up, you know? So it's better to have it a little tighter than a too loose, for sure. Yeah.
Do you run like a shotgun rod with your? Do you run your teaser on like a shotgun rod up in your towel?
The teaser, you can run in a little yo-yo like this. Just put it out behind the boat and just tie it to the cleat. Or you can, if you have a rod that you're not using, a bigger rod, maybe like a 30 or yeah, just put it in a rod like that. Yeah, something that whenever you need to get it out of the way, you know, you can just wrap it up here really quick. It won't be all over the floor. People get tangled and tripping over, you know.
Gotcha. And I have a question. I heard some people use a cowbell as a teaser. Is that an effective teaser or no?
I never heard of that. What is it, cowbell?
It's really big lure.
Okay, no, I never heard of that.
That's what they use in Montana. Trolling for lake trout.
I'm surprised they haven't got a Sailfish right yet.
Big old.
What is it, like a diving plug or?
No, it's like the size of a silver dollar or bigger.
Okay.
And it's just a, you know, a 5.
Oh, okay, yeah, it just shines.
And it shines.
Yeah, it shines. Yeah, it probably works. It probably anything that shines.
You stick a bell in it, it makes a sound too.
Okay.
You know,
Oh, really? But anything that shines is gonna attract fish. You know, you got it out there. The people, like I said, those fish are swimming down deep or something. They're gonna get attracted to it. Come check it out. And whenever I put a teaser, I like to keep the shorter bait, one of the flats, maybe 20 feet behind it. So the fish comes out to it, sees a little bait right there, he's gonna go eat it. You know, if your bait is really far away, then you got a sailfish right there on the teaser. You're like, oh, we don't have any bait on it. So try to keep a bait, you know, within 20 feet of it or so. So when the fish comes up, it's a bait available. Who let the dogs out? Well, hi guys. If you don't have any questions, let's go drinking.
Hey everybody, hope you enjoyed that video. Hope you learned something about it. Make sure you like and subscribe on our YouTube channel and check out our next video.
See you later.
See you later.